Remember this scene from the movie Three Idiots? Amir Khan's character was inspired by this man, Sonam Wangchuk. Now that I have your attention, let me remind you, Ladakh has been protesting against the Modi government and BJP for months now. Thousands have been braving the extreme cold and have been on hunger strike as well. Leh had actually celebrated the abdication of Article 370 by the Modi government. But today, they're pushing back the BJP. In this episode of Let Me Explain, I'll tell you all about the Ladakhis' fight for their climate, autonomy, jobs, and against Hindutva. Let me explain. At TNM, our focus has always been the South. But when it comes to issues of human rights or federalism, we've been very vocal about them, irrespective of where they happen. Like Manipur, our reporters travelled and got you stories that matter. If you like our work, then show your support not just to me, but also to our reporters. Contribute to our reporting fund. So why are we talking about Ladakh today? Because their issues matter. Not just to them, but it should matter to all of us. So let's look at why Ladakh is important geopolitically for India. Ladakh is sparsely populated, but geographically it's the largest parliamentary constituency in the entire country. But its location is also very crucial for geopolitics. Ladakh shares a border not just with Pakistan, but also China. India is facing aggression from Pakistan and China over Siachen and Aksai Chin in this very region. The Galwan Valley, that is the location of the Chinese incursion, is also in Ladakh. The region acts as a buffer zone and has a large number of Indian troops present. Now let's look at why this region, which used to be in conversation either for its beautiful landscapes or for military action, is seeing massive protests for over 3 years now. On March 6, 2024, Sonam Wangchuk started a 21-day hunger strike that he dubbed a climate fast.
Very soon, many of us will be climate refugees, and we must protect this.
Where? Not somewhere comfortable or in his house, but in Leh, a high-altitude location that's 3,500 meters above sea level and in sub-zero temperatures. Wangchuk ended his hunger strike on March 26th, but now the women in Leh are taking it forward. If their demands are not met, the youth, the monks and the elderly have said that they too will join the hunger strike, one group at a time. Over the last 4 years, Ladakh has had many shutdowns with frequent protests and demonstrations. All this kicked off when the region was split from Jammu and Kashmir to become its own union territory. In 2019, the Buddhist-dominated Leh district had celebrated the abdication of Article 370. For long, they'd asked to be separated from Jammu and Kashmir and be made a separate union territory. This was done on 31st October 2019 when the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act was passed and Ladakh was no longer part of Jammu and Kashmir state. But the celebrations were short-lived because the rest of the demands were not fulfilled by the Modi government. What were those demands? Let's take a look. Ladakhis did not want to be clubbed with Jammu and Kashmir because demographically and geographically, they're very different. The two districts in the region are Kargil and Leh, and even these two are very different from each other. While Kargil is Muslim dominated, Leh is a tribal society with most of its residents following Buddhism. But both have felt that the Kashmir-centric parties that have ruled the region have always ignored the needs of Ladakh, ethnically, culturally, and also in terms of funds allocation. So they wanted to be a separate union territory. This was done with the Reorganizations Act. But here's the twist. While Jammu and Kashmir became two separate union territories with legislature, Ladakh became one without, which means that it will be governed directly by the union government through bureaucrats. But that's not all. The abrogation of Article 370 also meant an end to the exclusive rights to land and jobs that Ladakhis had. This meant opening up the region to non-locals and industrialists. And Ladakhis fear that this could lead to people from other parts of the country outnumbering them and the locals losing their distinct identity. But this too could have been rectified. Ladakhis believe that if they were included in the 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution, this problem could have been easily addressed. But even though the BJP had promised them in 2019, this has not happened till date. Now, what is the 6th schedule? It's a provision for administration of tribal areas where the district councils have legislative, executive, judicial and financial powers. Over 97% of Ladakh's population is scheduled tribes. The 6th schedule gives autonomy to these councils to make laws on important issues like forest, agriculture, land and even personal laws governing them like marriage, property and social customs. Many regions in Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram are included in the 6th schedule, but the Modi government has failed to include Ladakh. In the last 4 years, Ladakh has seen the highest rise in unemployment in India, with the unemployment rates shooting up to 16% and 26.5% of the graduates in Ladakh unable to find jobs. Which is why the protesters are also demanding a separate public service commission for Ladakh. The protest by Sonam Wangchuk is being supported by the Leh Apex body, that's LAB, and Kargil Democratic Alliance, that's KDA, two influential socio-political groups, and many student organizations too have joined in. Over time, even BJP leaders in the region have lent their support to the cause. For example, the BJP MP Jamyang Namgyal, who was elected in 2019, asked for the 6th schedule on the floor of the parliament. He's been dropped this time, but BJP's candidate this time around, Tashi Gyal Santo, has also been saying in his campaign that he'll fight for the rights of Ladakh in parliament. But this isn't just about the 6th schedule. Even land and climate in Ladakh are at risk. I'll tell you how. 80 square kilometers of land in Ladakh were acquired for a solar project in November 2021. There's also a plan to build 7 hydroelectric power stations across Ladakh. All this will come at a huge cost to the Ladakhis. They lose their land and their already delicate ecosystem also gets further damaged. And this is the worst part. Most of the energy generated through this would go to power other parts of the country, and the Ladakhis face the brunt of it all. But there's more. The Modi government's draft Ladakh Industrial Land Policy 2023 planned to bring in rapid industrialization to Ladakh. The locals say that all this is a plan that goes against the interests of the people and the fragile environment. Because it was met with such public outrage, it has been shelved for now. Remember those beautiful glaciers from Ladakh that your Instagram keeps showing you every now and then? The massive infrastructure push post-2019 is causing those glaciers to melt rapidly. Ladakh is packed with natural resources. Nubra Valley has top quality lithium and uranium deposits, and you can also find rare minerals like chromite and platinum. Now, outsiders are making a beeline to mine all these minerals. Now, this brings me to my last segment, Ladakh and Hindutva. But before I get to that, here's a big thank you from all of us to TNM subscribers, because your support powers all our work. If you're not yet a subscriber, then what are you waiting for? Pause this video and scan this QR code and become a paid TNM subscriber right away. The allegation is that over the last 5 years, that's under the BJP, there's been a noticeable shift towards Hindutva in Ladakh. Many locals and observers say that there's a covert push to induce mainstream culture in Ladakh. But this aspect has not been taken up vocally in these protests. Since 2019, various government organizations have started using the prefix Sindhu. Sindhu is the Hindu name for the river Indus. Zanskar, the biggest tributary of the Indus River, flows through Ladakh. And Ladakh also happens to be the entry point for the Indus River into India. So under the Modi government, many central schemes have come with the name Sindhu. For example, Sindhu Central University, Sindhu Sanskriti Kendra, and Sindhu Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited, etc., etc. Now, according to this report in the scroll, the push for Hindutva in Ladakh actually began with Sindhu Darshan pilgrimage in 1997, using the Indus River as an entry point. The push for Sindhu Darshan was led by a senior RSS leader by the name Indresh Kumar. If you're thinking his name rings a bell, let me remind you, he was once accused in the 2007 Ajmer Dargah blast case. Anyway, as I've already said, Ladakh's main religious groups are Muslims and Buddhists, with Hindus being a small minority, just around 12%. And most of them are also from states like Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and Punjab, who have settled in Ladakh for a while now. So many locals were not in favor of the Yatra. Cut to 2021. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the UT administration decided to celebrate Sindhu Mahakumbh on the same scale as the Kumbh Mela. This sparked massive public outrage, so much so that the event had to be cancelled. Similarly, earlier in 2024, the renaming of health centers in villages to Ayushman Arogya Mandirs also faced so much public resentment that the decision had to be rolled back. A local councillor recently raised concerns about attempts to build permanent Hindu temples at 2 locations in Ladakh. This too was faced with quite a bit of resistance. Now, there have been several rounds of meetings between the representatives of protesters and the Modi government. But there's been no breakthrough yet. Those who attended the meeting say that Union Home Minister Amit Shah neither agreed nor refused to the demands. Sonam Wangchuk called off the strike temporarily just 10 days before the polling, which took place in Ladakh on May 20th. But the protesters say that they'll resume it in the first week of June, till all of their demands are actually met. That's it from me for this episode. Do tell me what you thought of it. Do drop your comments in the comment section. Very soon we'll have another edit meet where we'll open it up and allow a few of our TNM subscribers to come and tell us directly what you think of our work, tell our reporters what stories you want them to cover. But for this, like I said, you have to be a TNM subscriber. So scan this QR code now and become a TNM subscriber.